Rob Humphreys and Elan, it's a long history and a long history of success. How many years and how many models has it been?
Actually, it's over 20 years and probably nearly 20 models, actually, about maybe 18 models. I haven't counted them recently, but yeah, so certainly over about 22 years, I think. I started, it was just really not long after the war, so it was quite a different, in many ways a different company, and they clearly were looking at a European market because the internal market had really dried up, so hence they took interest in somebody representing the European sector, I suppose, the Western European sector.
What about the longevity of hull designs? There is, for instance, the Elan Impression line that has been around for a while and still is going strong.
Yeah, that's been a good line for them, and a good selling line. It's sometimes flitted in and out of being sort of a separate brand from Elan, but it's all within the same company and same sort of ethos over the years.
What are the requirements, in your opinion, for modern hull designs to match up with the requirement of increased weight and displacement of cruising boats that are getting loaded down with features?
Yeah, well, that's the key part of the job, really. And that's the interesting challenge, really. It's we have to be accountable for all the weight that goes on the boat. So we for the different versions, and therefore have to work out whether we have the right volume of displacement, so that the trim and the flotation is correct. And sometimes a more performance racing model, as it were, from one hull type can be a little shorter because it doesn't need the aft overhang as much as you would need on a more heavily loaded boat. And particularly with the twin rudders, we've gone effectively for more form stability aft in particular. So you drive the wider sections aft, and so that creates a lot more power, and that space is also useful in a cruising context, and the cockpit size, which is quite attractive to people. You have the control anyway with the twin rudders, which we've done for a number of years. The cruising sector inevitably draws from the performance sector. I think it's hard to avoid that. Even we're very involved in both camps, really, and have been for a long time. But there are some designers designing cruising boats who are still influenced by racing, maybe not their own designs, but looking at others around. So it's a forcing house for design, but the key is to make sure that from a cruising sector, the boats have plenty of stability, they look after the crews, they're easy to sail. We get away with wider, more voluminous boats because of the twin rudder arrangements, so that they can, even when they're well heeled, they're not going to round up and broach and scare inexperienced sailors.
We hear a lot about foiling these days. Cruising boats becoming the next frontier for that technology that you see in ocean racing boats and catamarans?
Well, it's hard to forecast, isn't it? 15 years ago, we never, the Elan 350, when it came out, was probably one of the first production boats that actually did manage to plane, and it was a cruiser racer. It wasn't like it was a carbon. I think it's very hard to say never, really, on foiling cruising boats, but they'd have to be using carbon, and construction would have to come down, construction weight would have to come down even lower. But that's, the more use of materials like that, the way the cost comes down, it's possible. I mean, it's interesting, you look at, it was in, I think it was in the 70s, there was a boat called Willy War in the States, which is a foiling trimaran with basically 4 foils. Yeah. And the guy who designed that was in a sense, a hero that had maybe been forgotten a bit. But he did 20,000 miles in the Pacific with that boat, and felt safer on foils than he did, so these things have a bit of history as well.
Who knows, we might see an Elan that is at least partial foiling from your drawing board.
Well, I don't know if I'll still be at it long enough, whether we'll still be working together, or, another 10 years is possible, I suppose. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, thank you so much.